Hi, so we're here to do an installation to a flood barrier. I've already set up some shuttering onto this prepared footing. This is a low height flood wall. It's not quite finished. They are going to render it when it's been done. So I put some shuttering to allow us to set in a base rail. It's 50mm thick because we know that the foundation is at least half a metre thick, 500mm. So that will take the weight. We're going to cast this in using a product we call M90 by Ultracrete. It's a rapid set, hard strength, ready mix mortar. So the base rail will fit in between the shuttering. You've got to make sure your base rail does fit before you set out and start mixing your mortar mix. This one you may think is a bit short, but it isn't, because this setup here is going to have a packing rail to the two side rails or reveal fix that this barrier is going to have. People often ask why there are holes in the side of the base rail. This is to allow the mortar or the concrete that you're setting this into to get fully underneath the actual channel and hold that into one solid unit, so there are no air pockets underneath the base rail. So here are some of the tools that you need to put the base rail in, or the tools that I use. Obviously the most important, the spirit level, and then a series of different trowels to get the mortar into the right place, and you will need either a mallet or a hammer to tap the aluminium base rail into the wet concrete mortar. Obviously with this install here, we've put shuttering in because the ground has already been taken away for us. But again, if you're doing it into a patio, a driveway, often you'll need to cut out that channel to allow the aluminium base rail to go in. So you're going to need an angle grinder or a steel saw, and then some sort of brake to break away the concrete, if it's concrete tarmac that you're chopping out. The idea with putting the base rail in, firstly, is to allow the bottom seal of the barrier to fit on something that is flat and level, and also when you're putting it into an install into a driveway in front of a house, you want as level a surface as you can get so it doesn't form a trip hazard. So I'm now ready to concrete this base rail in. The product I'm using is the M90 Ultracrete. I've got my paddle mixer ready, my bucket to mixing, and the water and the product. If you do use this product, I will give you a warning, it goes off very, very quickly. So your working life is 5 to 10 minutes maximum. You can use a wash sand or ballast and cement mix. I'd always put something like an SBR in it, an additive or waterproof additive, but you will need a minimum of 24 hours for it to dry before you can put the side rails on. So basically allow any barrier, it's almost a 2-day job. You need to let the base rail harden and set before you put the side rails on. I sometimes use SBR as well to prime surfaces if I think it's going to draw the moisture out too quickly. So now putting the base rail in, making sure it's where I need it to be in the wall, which it's there. Going to use my mallet now to tap this into the mortar. Now you can see why we need the holes in the side as we're tapping that down and checking with the level. You can see already, look, one side looks low, and there we go. So that's level. We can now start to finish it off with trowels. At the moment I'm cleaning off the aluminium base rail. You're bound to get concrete mortar onto it, so while it's still wet, just clean that off so you are achieving what you set out, a perfectly flat and level aluminium base rail that's been set into, in this case, M90 mortar, rapid set mortar. It's just slow and steady, this little bit, to keep it as neat as you want it. So that base rail is now concreted in. We'll leave that overnight for it to harden up before we put the side rails in. Remembering that if you are using M90, M60, any of the rapid set products, you do need to clean the tools pretty quickly, otherwise you'll be stuck with very dirty trowels.